one in the fourth.
1-2. He struck him out swinging splitter. And the 2-2. Strike three is called. Clemens deals 1-2. Cut on a miss. High fastball struck him out. There's the 1-2. He struck him out swinging, and they're a two-way, and that's strikeout number 5 for Clemens.
2-2. Swung and a miss. He struck him out. Blazing fastball on the outside corner, 2 away. The 1-2 to Wilson. Swung and a miss. He struck him out. He's thrown 91 pitches through 5 2/3. And the 1-2. Strike three right down the middle. A blazing fastball, and Javier is down looking.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks. The Yankees could certainly use Roger Clemens right now. Going back to last week, over the course of 7 days, 7 games, 73 runs allowed, 23 home runs allowed. And never before has that happened, because the Yankees became the first team in American League history to allow those kind of numbers in a 7-game span. And of course, it merely highlights the need that the Yankees do have for a starting pitcher. I know it's been accentuated a lot, I get it, but now the Yankees are running out of options, because Marcus Stroman got traded to the Mets, and late last night, Trevor Bauer got traded to the Reds. And good morning, everyone. It is just about 11 a.m. here on the Quadruple Play podcast, and today, as aforementioned, we'll be talking Yankees and a couple of big moves in the NFL as well. But in keeping with the Yankees, the trade deadline is just about 6 hours away now, or 5 hours away now, excuse me. And as we are inching closer and closer, I'm sure you guys will be refreshing your Twitter pages, specifically for Joel Sherman and Brian Hoke, lead writers for the Yankees. But it seems the Yankees are essentially out of options here. There's been a lot of talk about Robbie Ray of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who's put up some good numbers this year. He's played well in one of the better hitter parks in baseball. And there's also been talk of the Yankees acquiring Diamondbacks relief pitcher Archie Bradley. And Clint Frazier's been involved in a lot of those talks too. And the Diamondbacks have dipped back to around 500, and they are still only a mere 3 games out of the wild card spot. And of course, their 4-2 victory over the Yankees last night solidified that. Now, Diamondbacks brass has not been averse to making big trades. And look, it's hopeless for them to win the division, as it is for every other team. Because the Giants are still 15 games behind the Dodgers. So the Dodgers have had the NL West wrapped up really since the very first pitch of the season. But the Yankees might even go after an infielder or two as well, because first baseman Luke Voit was just placed on the 10-day IL. With that news courtesy of the Yankees Public Relations Department on Twitter, give them a follow. And the Yankees called up number 75 David Hale, and they called up Jonathan Holder as well from the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. And Breivik Valera has also been called up as well, and he had quite a performance when he was last called up. And Voit did have another core muscle injury, and that happened to him when the Yankees played the Red Sox back in London towards the end of last month as well. And this is some cause for concern now. And Voit proved to be durable when they got him late last season, right around this time, just over a year ago to the day, actually, now. But for a team that has just been famished for any kind of production at first base up until late last year with Luke Voit, they need him now more than ever. And we also have the Yankees lineup here right now as well, courtesy of Brian Hoke, who covers the Yankees for MLB.com. And the lineup is as follows. Aaron Hicks leading off. He'll be playing center field. Aaron Judge DHing today. He'll be batting second. Edwin Encarnacion playing first base. He'll be batting third in lieu of Luke Voit. Didi Gregorius batting cleanup. He'll be playing shortstop. Gleyber Torres batting fifth. He'll be playing second base. Gio Urshela batting sixth. He'll be playing third. Cameron Maybin playing right field. He'll be batting seventh. Mike Tolkien playing left. He'll be batting eighth. And last but certainly not least, Austin Romine catching today. He'll be batting ninth, with Masahiro Tanaka on the mound. And obviously we all hope for anything that resembles a major league performance for Masahiro Tanaka today, because he has simply just been a train wreck this month. In the month of July, Masahiro Tanaka owns a 9.55 ERA. He's allowed 7 home runs, and opponents are hitting .302 against him with an OPS of 958. And so, anything that gets him past 4 innings with fewer than, say, 7 or 8 runs allowed could be considered a pseudo-quality start for Mr. Tanaka today. But, obviously, this game is the second thing Yankees fans will be paying attention to today. This game is a second-class citizen for the trade deadline. And we talked about Robbie Ray, and Mike Minor of the Texas Rangers is still at least a fairly viable option, because the Rangers have been struggling mightily of late. They've dipped below 500, they've lost 3 straight, they're 3-7 in the last 10, and they're 7.5 games behind for the wild card. So, what once seemed to be a fairly improbable trade scenario now becomes at least a little more improbable. And look, we've all said it before. Is this Yankees team good enough to win the World Series? Yes, it is. But you cannot possibly tell me that this rotation, as it stands right now, especially with CC on the IL, with Severino still not coming back till late next month, at best, with how terrible Paxton and J-Hap have been this year, and with how streaky Masahiro Tanaka has been, I mean, their surest bet has been Domingo Germán, and his past couple of starts haven't been good at all either. The Yankees can outslug the Minnesota Twins. They proved that last week. They can outslug the Red Sox, as they proved in London, and they're still 7-4 against the Red Sox on the year. But they cannot outslug the Houston Astros. We saw it 2 years ago. They tried. It didn't work. Justin Verlander shut them down. And I understand the Yankees' conservatism as it pertains to acquiring pitching. And Brian Cashman, I think, is going to be a Hall of Fame general manager one day. The turnaround that he orchestrated where the Yankees were 3 years ago, and with 2 simple trades, he turned the Yankees into a World Series contender within a span of about 2 days, back during 3 years ago, when he traded Andrew Miller to the Indians in exchange for Clint Frazier, and when he traded Aroldis Chapman to the Cubs in exchange for Gleyber Torres, and then re-signed Aroldis Chapman, so the Yankees got Gleyber Torres for quite literally nothing, and how he's been able to rebuild the farm system overnight. And the Yankees were not averse to getting those big names when George Steinbrenner was still alive. And now, I'm not one of those crazy Yankee fans who says, oh, George would have done this, that. No, not at all. Hal Steinbrenner has provided stability, competence, and a nonchalant demeanor during his time as Yankees owner since he inherited the team from his father, a little over a decade ago. That's not my point with George Steinbrenner, but the Yankees need to deviate from that path for once. And I know there aren't a whole lot of big names out there. We mentioned Robbie Ray and Mike Minor, and really the only other viable name out there is Madison Bumgarner, who, don't forget, has the Yankees on his list of no trade options. But we saw what the Reds gave up for Trevor Bauer last night. They give up the number 1 prospect. And we saw the prices that the Red Sox paid for Chris Sale and what the Astros paid for Justin Verlander. And both teams won championships. And yes, the Reds are probably not going to be a playoff team this year, barring an essentially miraculous run. Although with how weak the NL Central is, we just don't know how that will end up working out. But the Yankees need to do something at this trade deadline. I'm fine with them reinforcing the bullpen. We talked about Archie Bradley, and there are a couple of other names out there as well. There's nothing wrong with reinforcing the strength. But at the same time, I think addressing a weakness can often be better than reinforcing a strength. So we hope by 4 o'clock today the Yankees will have, doesn't have to be a big name, but just someone to at least address the depth of the rotation or lack thereof. I'm fine with Robbie Ray being a Yankee, and I said that I thought I was certain that Marcus Stroman would be a Yankee. Obviously, I was wrong. I was a lot more convinced than most people were, I guess. But Marcus Stroman is now on the Mets, and the Mets are looking ahead to next year, with or without Mickey Callaway. And so are the Reds. And Trevor Bauer and Luis Castillo could be the best 1-2 tandem in baseball. But keep your fingers crossed, folks. Keep refreshing your Twitter pages. And we'll see what happens. And we hope the Yankees address it some way, somehow. And as always, folks, I thank you for listening. And this will not be the first episode for today, but I've been working on brevity here and there. I'd rather put out a bunch of short shows than one 60-minute show in which no one's going to listen because of the fact that it's too long. And thank you, folks, for listening. This is Tim Sullivan signing off for now.